Hey everybody, it's Shadowstar and Crystal here for another Arrow review, and this time it's the finale of Season 2. What a big one this was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like I say, I always love Arrow finales. This is probably my second favourite Arrow finale, possibly even my second favourite finale in the entire Arrowverse. It's just so... There is not a single dull moment except for, like, the end. But that's fine, it's the ending. It's meant to fade out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my goodness. Obviously, it opens action-packed where we left off, with them still in the clock tower, Roy's being cured, and then straight away we're being attacked and having to jump out the clock tower. Everyone, Oliver, Diggle, Felicity, a newly awoken Roy, everyone. Straight into the action as soon as the episode begins.
Yeah, definitely.
What a fun that was. But if you thought this was big, it gets even bigger because now, like we said last time, Argus was planning to blow everything up. So now we've got Lila, we've got Amanda Waller, and then we've got the Suicide Squad, or at least Deathstroke.
Yeah, they didn't do much though. They just kind of threatened.
They didn't do much, but they still got a few good moments. So, you know, I love team-ups. I love everything coming together. And, you know, if this wasn't big enough already, we got the Suicide Squad in here storming Argus. That was oh, man. But while we're there...
Argus must have terrible security if they can do that.
Apparently. But, you know, while we were there, we found out that Diggle and Lila are going to have a kid.
Ooh.
We'll be seeing that soon. Have fun with that. But, yeah. But the Argus stuff is fun. You know, Amanda Waller is just such an enjoyable character because she's such a morally ambiguous character. And we'll get a lot more of Amanda Waller as we saw with the ending, but we'll get to that. But, you know, it just added that. And, you know, I like the fact that it wasn't mentioned in the last episode, or at least it was hinted at it, but this was all part of Slade's plan. He somehow knows that that Argus is going to blow the place up. Because at the end of the last episode, he's talking about, oh, the city will be nothing but ash and rubble.
Yeah. He didn't mean rubble because of his guys. He
knew that. He wanted to escape and then let everything blow up. So I don't know how... I don't know how he outthought them, but...
It's almost a bit unrealistic the way he predicts everything everyone will do.
Except for that one thing, but we'll get to that. But in case you wanted even more teaming up, if Argus wasn't big enough for you, we got the League of Assassins!
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh my goodness! Nissa's back with the League of Assassins to back her up. Like I said, I love team-ups. Oh my god. We have the League of Assassins fighting side by side. They we see them and everyone, Storm Queen consolidated. And we get a fight between Nissa and Sarah and Isabella Roshev, and Isabella dies. And that was a good fight scene. Quick one, but such a fun one. It's just non-stop action.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll pick up one thing that did pick up where we left last time was Thea and Malcolm. And honestly, Thea is entirely disconnected from the entire plot.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it though, but Thea's entirely disconnected because we get the continuation of her and Malcolm like we saw last time.
Yeah.
With, like I mentioned before, he mentions how it's like last time where Tommy was going to point the gun, but this time Thea actually does it. And, you know, Malcolm is glad she does it, because that means, you know, Malcolm... It
shows she's strong.
Exactly, because Malcolm called Tommy weak for not doing it.
Mm.
But, you know... And
yeah, like we've said, he's a villain, she's justified in shooting him, and even he understands that.
Exactly, but also he just, you know... He's... In his own twisted way, it makes him proud that she would go so far.
Yeah.
But... While we're talking about Thea, she does have a plot with Roy where, you know, she's mad at everyone for lying. And, you know, Malcolm is right, everyone is lying. And, you know, he had a good point. He's like, why would you want to stay with Oliver and Roy and everyone else? And then, you know, Roy says, oh, I'm not lying. And then she finds out he is lying. So,
yeah. he mysteriously runs off, and then she finds arrows, and I guess she assumed he is the arrow.
No, you big silly and you know it.
Okay.
She doesn't assume that, but she has suspected he's working with him, but
Yeah, true.
yeah, I suppose we'll talk about the ending where after all that she decides she's only got one person left, and that's Malcolm, because as crazy as he is, he was there for her. And like I said, we have been building up to really good Thea stuff. I've loved Thea in this episode, and I love where she is going. I suppose that's one of our first many of cliffhangers. The first one for Thea.
Yeah.
But moving on to other amazing characters, we've got Quentin and the police. Even more people teaming up.
Yeah.
And Quentin, he really takes on such a leader role with the police too.
Yep, because that guy finally understands that he knows how to make the right decisions.
Yeah, I love how Quentin really takes charge, and we see the police fighting everyone, and then, Quentin joins in with that big fight, because we have a huge, amazing fight scene with, like, Quentin, the League of Assassins, Oliver, Roy, Sarah, everyone all fighting Deathstroke's army. It's such an amazing scene.
Yeah, it's even better when you realize what they're doing. They're all heroes because it looks like they're fighting, but they're not killing any of them. They're just stabbing them with the cure.
Exactly, but you get so many... I love fight scenes that are so much teamwork and have so much interaction with, like, you've got Nyssa and Sarah, and then, like, Nyssa's fighting somebody and Quentin helps out, and then, Roy's there, and all these different combinations. I love huge fight scenes, It's... when you got a cast this big, it almost feels like a crossover. Because all these characters don't usually interact, and to put them together in a fight scene, it's like what you'll get with the crossovers, really, when you see all the characters interacting in a big fight scene.
Yeah, definitely.
But I suppose we have to talk about the scene with Oliver and Felicity, which I absolutely love the fact that Oliver outthinks him.
Yeah.
I love the callback. I love how well they set it up, because as we saw...
So he can predict everything Lila would do, but he can't predict that Oliver would try to trick him like this.
No, well, that's the thing. I guess he never thought of that. He's too focused on... As Oliver said, he's so distracted, he doesn't see the danger in front of him. But I do like that trick where you think it's a love scene, but at the end... And even we, the audience, don't see it at first. You can think it, but you don't see it, because you see, okay, he's confessing, and you see Slade looking at the camera, so you think, oh, why is Oliver doing this? But then you flash back and you realise, oh, he gave the syringe.
Yeah.
But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Wedding of River song, when he's like, look into my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like I would just whispered something, and you're supposed to think he said something, but then you flash back, it's like, look into my eyes. I don't know why that scene just feels parallel, because you think it's meant to be a declaration of love, but it's a clever trick.
Yeah.
But man, I do love that that's the final trick, that, Felicity is the one to stab him with that, because he's not paying attention.
Yep.
And then we get the final fight scene between Oliver and Slade, which, again, is huge. And I normally I don't like the flashbacks getting in the way, but I actually did like the parallel. I love how, I love the, like, I don't know what you call it, stunt coordination or, like, directing, but the way it would, like, cut from one shot to another, like, you'd see him get punched, and as he's getting punched, it would cut to the flashback, or it would cut back to the present.
Yeah, but I actually didn't like that. It kind of pulls focus.
Normally, I agree. If it did it in the middle of a different scene, it would be annoying. But this is supposed to be two parallel fights going on at the same time.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still didn't enjoy watching that bit.
I can understand why some people find it distracting. There's other times where they do parallel fight scenes like that with a flashback and people don't like it. I think most people have said that this is the rare exception, and I can kind of understand both sides.
Yeah, when it comes to the flashback, though, it wasn't that enjoyable because we knew how it all had to end. We knew that he had to see Sarah seemingly die, and we knew
that he would get stabbed in the eye and all that, and he wouldn't choose a cure. And...
Yeah, exactly. We knew he had the choice to kill him, he
that's-
killed him.
That's a fair point. There was no real suspense in the flashback.
I know, there was a moment
It's
where
fun to watch, but there's no suspense.
there was a moment where it would have been suspenseful if we didn't know, because he was holding both.
Yeah.
That could have been suspenseful.
But we
'Cause we
knew
don't know
everything
which
because
one he'd
they've
choose.
kind of told us everything through this season. That's one thing we've pointed out where it kind of, although it kind of feels like foreshadowing, sometimes it just feels like spoiling some stuff.
Yeah, that could have been a suspenseful
it was
moment.
fun to watch the fight, but I agree there was no suspense in it. One thing that no one would have seen coming is the ending. Like we said, we do know that Oliver wasn't always on the island, but it was still actually a big thing to actually see it. Because now, I mean, we've kind of had a hint that he knew Amanda Waller, but now we finally get to see Oliver knows Amanda Waller, and suddenly he's not on the island. He's in Hong Kong, out of nowhere. It's going to it's going to completely change the way we look at the flashbacks, because for the past 2 years, it's just been Oliver on the island. The past 2 years has just been set up and Oliver on his own, or Oliver with people trying to fight against the odds. Whereas now he's in Hong Kong doing who knows what, which obviously we'll get into next season.
I mean, did they ever specifically say Hong Kong? You just go...
Yeah, no, he did. She says, "My name is Amanda Waller. Welcome to Hong Kong."
Oh, okay.
Don't worry, yeah, I'm not crazy.
Okay.
But...
what was I going to say? Yeah, it was, like you said while we were watching it, it's still weird how they managed to get him from the water before he died and bring him to
I know.
Hong
The
Kong.
boat is sinking. He falls into water. Like, he fights Slade and you just see him collapse in the water. And then somehow he doesn't die. Argus finds him, takes him all the way to Hong Kong.
After all that, if I were him, I would think, well, if I fell in the water like that and that happened to me, maybe Sarah's alive. But no, he assumes from what he saw that she's just dead.
Even though she had a similar situation where she looks dead but someone found her in the water. Basically, nobody on that boat died because Slade didn't die either. Although Slade had no one help him. He somehow fought against the odds thanks to the Mirakuru. But speaking of Slade, he does get imprisoned on the island in a jail run by Argus, but and I do love that final confrontation with them in his jail.
Yeah, because he admits and acknowledges that, yes, I'm who I am because of you.
Exactly, both good and bad. A lot of what Oliver is because of Slade. He had a whole year working with Slade. His life, he probably wouldn't have lived without Slade.
Would Slade have lived without him? There were times when he needed him.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. They wouldn't have been able to take the tower in Odyssey, but to be fair, Oliver did jack all in Odyssey anyway.
What if he didn't know the riddle?
That's a good point! You didn't know the riddle either.
Okay, I didn't remember.
But that is a good scene, and
something is bread that's something.
You only remember the word bread. But anyway, and I love that line. It's one of his it is literally Slade's most famous lines. It's him closing out and him saying, "I keep my promises."
What are you gonna do, Slade?
You'll see.
I know, but...
Do you know?
Yeah, there's this part where Oliver and that other person are in that place and the person has to break their arm.
Okay, alright, fair enough. Nice, clever way of getting around it. But, I suppose the last...
It makes it sound like I don't know who that person is.
No, you don't. But anyway, I suppose the only other the last ending bit is, of course, Sarah is going back with the League. But, and she gives Laurel the jacket. And it is a nice, touching scene. But of course, we're left with another cliffhanger with something's happening to Quentin.
Yeah,
I like how it's
that. I actually didn't remember that, so that was weird to see.
I like how it's delayed and it's kind of realistic, because there's all these times where people get thrown around or punched and all these things, and nothing really happens. So I like the fact that, he does actually suffer some sort of internal injuries or hemorrhaging because of all the crap that would have happened earlier. It's realistic, and I like the way it happens.
Yeah.
And we've got cliffhangers in the flashback, and we've got cliffhangers with Quentin and Thea. Those are all the cliffhangers. There's no real cliffhanger with Oliver in the present, though. That's kind of it. which is fine. There's still a crap ton of stuff that happens in Season 3. I've got mixed feelings on Season 3 as a whole, but there's a lot of interesting stuff that'll happen, which we'll get into very soon.
Yes, but the only real, I wouldn't call it cliffhanger, but ending for Oliver is we did get a nice moment with Felicity where she admits that, well, not really admits to him, but she said he did good acting, and you almost had me fooled.
Yeah, which, that's the thing. Up until this moment,
it's not just a compliment to his acting, but it also tells us that she has those feelings to be able to let herself believe it for a moment. The thing is,
we've obviously throughout the season, we've had some hints of Felicity, but except for maybe one line when you seem to be jealous of Barry, there was never really anything that goes towards what Oliver feels about Felicity.
Yeah.
But obviously, we'll get into that more. Obviously, that's a huge controversy in the fandom. A huge one.
Yeah, right now it's probably a case of he probably was completely acting. He doesn't realize, he doesn't notice those feelings. He just doesn't know they're in there.
Yeah, but like I said, this was a huge, huge episode. There was literally never a dull moment. Can you think of a moment where you were bored? No. I can understand. You didn't really have anything bad to say, other than maybe not really being that fond of, say, the way they directed the flashback intervening with the present stuff. I like that stuff, though. But, like I said, what a finale. Lots of team-ups, lots of action.
I wish I could remember what I rated the first finale.
I really can't remember. I think I gave the last finale a 9. I'm going to give this a very, very, very strong 9.5. It's so close to a 10, but I need to leave room for a few things.
Yeah.
Few other episodes. I don't know.
I don't know how high I want to go.
I am tossing between 9.5 and 10.
I'll go 8.5.
8.5? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to say it. I'm giving a 10 out of 10. There's never a dull moment. There's never a moment I didn't like. So I loved everything. Even, an episode can be better, but still be...
I'll go up to 9, yeah.
I know. Yes, I know
it's near perfect.
There's another better finale, but that can also be a 10. But this, you know what? I think this is the first for the Arrowverse for me, a 10 out of 10.
I think this is still my highest. I'll go 9. It's near perfect.
I think you gave a 9 to one of the Sarah-focused episodes.
Okay.
But... I mean, I don't blame you. This was huge.
I don't know if I'll ever give a 10 in the Arrowverse, because,
Maybe not Arrow itself. There has to be at least something in the Arrowverse you'll give a 10 out of 10 to.
Maybe.
Maybe not Arrow, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll get to them. But I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I can't deny it.
Yeah. I want to reserve 10 for, if something's basically perfect.
In my mind, I can understand... I can understand why people don't like the flashback crossing into the present, but I actually really did. I really loved the way they directed it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can understand both sides. But enough about that. This is our end of Season 2, and obviously we can both agree Season 2 was way better than 1. Not to say Season 1 was bad by any means. So I guess, like we said before, you have definitely gained a much more appreciation for Arrow.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't pay as much attention to it the first time I watched it.
Yeah, the thing is, that's what I've been saying too, and it's not saying I didn't enjoy Arrow, but doing this episode by episode is, especially with the first 2 seasons, I tend to just hit play all and binge it, and I forget what comes where. Because we stop and starting and actually having to focus on an episode at a time, focusing on what happens in these 40 minutes and not just the whole season, it actually makes me appreciate each episode and say, right, this episode has a lot in it, or this episode didn't have a lot in it, rather than just saying, oh, this cool plot point.
Yeah, definitely.
It really makes you appreciate the episodes in a way you don't usually think about. I really enjoyed looking at Arrow in a much different light, and coming very soon, we will not be just doing Arrow. Very soon, in 2 more episodes, we will be starting Flash. Eventually, we'll start Constantine, and Supergirl, and Legends, and many more DC shows. But next season, we start Season 3, and we start Flash. So,
But before that, just like last time, we will be having a quiz to
I
see
will
how
be-
much I remember.
I will be doing a quiz on season 2, and I will be putting up my top 5 episodes of season 2 as well. I will say, picking my top 5 was much more difficult this time than last time. There were so many times I was like, oh god, I can only have 5. I mean, sure, I could make a top 10 list, but you know what? I've got to have consistency. It's got to be fair. Only 5 can make the cut. What 5 episodes will I pick?
That'll be a tough one this time.
Yeah, it was very tough. Season 1 had quite a few. Was like, yeah, I can think of just 5 was like the golden number for season 1. Whereas season 2 was like, my goodness, so many good ones.
Yeah.
The middle of season 2 kind of petered out, but the start was really good. The ending was really good. There were a few weaker ones in the middle.
Yeah, definitely.
But obviously, I know you don't remember a lot of season 3, but going on what you've seen in season 2, what are you excited about or thinking about coming into season 3?
Well, I remember my first viewing, I was...
Without spoiling what you do, though, just think about what you're excited for.
Yeah. My first viewing, I was interested to see where Thea was going. So that was exciting. And I suppose my first viewing, I was hoping to see a bit more development in the Oliver and Felicity department, because, you know, I love Felicity and she loves him, so any happiness for her is great.
But yeah, I suppose that's it, really.
Yeah.
Next time we will see you. Well, next time we will see you for our first episode of season 3. But in between then, or around then, you'll get my top 5 episodes of season 2 and another trivia quiz on season 2. And trust me, I plan to make it even more difficult.
Why?
But enough about that. Next time, join us for season 3 and other things Arrow as well. See you next time.